Are you an avid Go developer? Because in Kestra 0.23, we have introduced a brand new dedicated plugin for Go, so now you can integrate it directly with your workflows. Let's take a look at what's new. So similar to our other script tasks such as Python, Node, and Ruby, we have got two different task types. We've got commands, which is useful for being able to write our Go as a dedicated file and then just run a number of commands to actually execute it, as well as script, which I think will be the more useful one here. So here you can write your Go code directly inside of the task, add expressions, anything you want, and then it will just run it. You don't need to actually compile it or run any commands to get it to run. Now, previously, you were able to run Go by using the shell commands task. By using something like a Docker image or having Go pre-installed in your environment, you could run Go no problem using the commands task. But what this dedicated plugin enables is it allows you to write them inline in a slightly nicer format. For example, here I've got a simple workflow that includes the Go script task. And here I'm able to put my Go code directly inside of the workflow. I don't have to make a dedicated file, so great for just small tasks. I can then specify an output file and any before commands I want to be able to tidy it up. As you can see here, I want to use a dedicated library for this task. But if we want to have a look at what that might look like for commands, here's an example where I'm using input files. Now, I don't have to use this input file where I'm writing it in line. This could be a namespace file, for example, that I could just reference. But this just allows us to see it all in one place. And again, I'm doing the same things, but the key difference here is I'm now just running it with a command. So you've got a little bit more flexibility there. But if I now run this, we'll see this run in action. This will automatically spin up a container with Go pre-installed, so there's no need to worry about dependencies. And as we can see here, it was successful. So if we have a quick look, we can see it did in fact generate the file that we wanted it to, which is great, as this makes our life a little bit easier. And we can see it did the exact same with the commands task as well. So pretty neat to be able to have the option to do either or here to achieve the same thing. Now, the thing that I really like about the script task is the fact that it makes it easy for putting expressions directly inside of your code. So as you can see here, I've got two different inputs. I've got a string, which is just going to contain a name, and then I've also got an array of strings. Now, to do the string, really straightforward. I can just put the expression directly into my code without having to modify anything. And as you can see here, I'm able to print that out, no problems. But if I want to do this with an array, I have to do a few extra bits here, but this is mostly down to Go and how it interprets these things. So here I'm able to take my array and turn it into separate different items. So let's press execute and see if it can actually take our expression and then use that inside of our code. And we can see it's already executed, and we can see if we scroll down, it got the name successfully and it got the text before it then put it into an array. But we can see here, it was able to successfully get the different items from the expression and know that they're separate items. Now, for our last example here, we're using the process task runner. Now, this currently won't work because I'm running Kestra with Docker and Go is not pre-installed with the Kestra image. So what I would need to do is take something like this Docker file here where I start with the Kestra image, and then I install Golang so that I can then access this once Kestra boots up. And then all I'd have to do is once I've taken my Docker file, I can then just specify it inside of the Docker Compose to instead use that Docker file rather than use the default image. This is also useful for other languages too, or any other dependencies that you want to be able to reference regularly inside of Kestra. Now, if I did want this to work, I could also install Golang as part of the before command. So here, I'm going to use this simple command here to install it locally and then use it as a process. Now, if you're running lots of workflows where you want to use the process task runner, I would not recommend this. I would instead recommend installing it on the system or in the container that Kestra is running in so that it can reference it each time rather than having to install it every single time. But for this example, this is useful for being able to see the process task runner work. So we can see here it successfully installed Go, and then it was able to run the file. So now we can go to outputs and see that it was able to generate the file that we've seen in our previous examples, but this time using the process task runner. So hopefully you're going to enjoy using the new Go plugin inside of Kestra. Let us know what you think and if there's anything you'd love to see in the future.